Welcome, everyone. This is Pine Grove News Live. I hope everyone is doing okay. It's 6 o'clock on the dot here on the East Coast. And all I can tell you about the weather here is that, well, my brother in Northern California says it pretty well when they do that. But I'm not going to say that. Let's just leave it at they chem sprayed the heck out of the sky. I don't know what. Today was a different day. They just chem sprayed it till it became grayish, blue, milky. Yeah, really hate when they do that. So, it was supposed to be 80 degrees today, and I'm sure it got that warm. Why the chemtrail? Only, oh, well, they're not going to tell us yet. Maybe they'll never tell us. Who knows? But they do it worldwide. We can only speculate. Maybe somebody will come out with some secret document that leaked. Maybe. We've had other information of what we think that they're doing. That's the weather here in southern New England. Northern Connecticut, in the valley. About it. All right, so let's go on with the weather. All news. And I don't have much of it. So we'll just go with what we got. From the watchers, massive floods hit Mexico's Jalisco, claiming at least 5 lives and damaging 1,000 homes. Well, I guess it's basically an update. We've known about that before. But in any case, I'm sure everyone's paying attention to the news now. That Mr. T is imposing tariffs 5% on the Mexicans until they curb the influx of illegals into the United States. And I don't know where these mainstream medias get the figures for how many people are coming to the United States. I heard someone on, the F network, the FN network, that it was 10,000, I believe, 10,000 every couple months, every 3 months or something like that. Well, that's not the correct numbers. The correct numbers, it's more like 10,000 per month or even more than that. It's a lot of people. It may even be per week. I mean, I'm not sure, but I know it's definitely not every 3 months. We have millions coming, have come. In any case, there's a lot of stuff that they're just repeating out there, so that's why the news is going to be short. We could talk about other stuff if we've had people who want to talk about that. Here's Mexico. Okay. Major floods in Serbia, Bosnia, Herzegovina, Bulgaria, Romania. So, worldwide floods, people. I mean, we're talking about it. This is constantly what's in the news every day now. I hope you don't get too bored with it. It's everywhere. So, wake up, world. Wake up. Severe weather, including heavy rainfall, thunderstorms, have been affecting eastern Bosnia and those other ones I mentioned, including southern Romania over the past 48 hours, triggering floods. Several cities and municipalities in Bosnia, Serbia, have declared states of emergency. Yeah, they do that quite often now, don't they? Ever since they first started it, what was it, 2 years ago? They started it in France, I believe. State of emergency. Be careful of that. Be very suspicious of that because once they come out with the state of emergency declaration, the next thing to come is martial law. And I don't care who is listening to, this Q character or group or whoever it is. I mean, I know there's a couple that have spawned off the regular Q, but it started with two gentlemen who were just putting stuff out there on the internet and to see what happens, and a bunch of people followed it. You know why they followed it? Because there was hope in the messages. Somebody was inside the White House, inside that utopia. What would you call it? Deep state. Inside there, and they were leaking information out. And it was like there was a spy in the White House, and he was telling us all these secrets of what to beware of and what to hope for. And that's the key word, hope for, because that's what a lot of people are turning to. This Q person, or at least that's what they did. Yeah, I'm telling you, you're not going to get the hope that you need from man. That's all I can tell you. You're not going to get it from him or them. Just somebody out there putting false hope out there for you. Should know by now where the hope that you can lean on and trust in comes from. Not in man, right? It's not in man. No. It's not in this guy anymore either. I know, the people that listen to me anyways, and the people that I'm in contact with, nobody's following this man. He's a joke. He is a joke. This is what he's doing now. Pope Francis approved the change to the Lord's Prayer. We'll get into another article later where they're actually can't say the Our Father or the Son. We'll talk about that in a minute. Pope Francis finally approved the changes he has long wanted to implement. Okay. Yeah, and he knows exactly what I'm doing right now. Pope Francis finally approved the changes that he had long awaited to implement to the Lord's Prayer by replacing "Lead us not into temptation" with "Do not let us fall into temptation." Reports from You Catholic. May 22nd, during the General Assembly of the Episcopal Conference of Italy, President Cardinal Guglielmo Bassetti announced the approval of a third edition to the Missale, they're calling Romano. Reports the outlet. The revised translation will include changes to the Lord's Prayer and Gloria. The Lord's Prayer will change from "and lead us not into temptation" to "do not let us fall into temptation." Pope Francis spoke first of his desire to update and "lead us not into temptation" parts of the Lord's Prayer, arguing that it portrays God in a false light. And the gall of this person, Pope. Father does not lead into temptation. He does not tempt us. The Bible does state that. He does not tempt us. He does not lead us into temptation. We ask that to not be led into temptation by any others beside him. He would certainly not do that. So anyway, so a father does not lead us into temptation. A father helps you get up immediately, the Pope said at the time. It is not a good translation because it speaks of God who induces temptation. Pope Francis also asserted that other translations have already been changed to correct mistakes and to modernize the language. Great. I'm surprised, and I wouldn't count it out that the LBGPQRST, alphabet soup there, doesn't have some say in how that prayer is said too. And in the case, I don't care as long as they pray. At least if they're praying, I mean, they're in one, direction or one point in the proper direction. So the French have modified the prayer to "Do not let me fall into temptation, because it is me who falls, not the Lord who tempts." Amen. So anyway, crazy stuff that comes from this Pope. And it's no wonder that people think that he could be the Antichrist. But he's doing quite the opposite. He is. There are a lot of Catholics falling away, and I can see why. Between the 70% that of these priests whoever they are, priests, cardinals, I mean, the whole lot of them. 70% of them are, pedophiles. And if that doesn't make you want to leave the Catholic religion, whatever you want to call it, then I feel sorry for you, and I will pray for you. It's time to leave there and find the Lord on your own, and you can. You leave Him and seek Him out. He will call. He will answer you. You don't have to take my word for it. There are plenty of people out there who'll tell you the same thing. True believers that have been in this fight for a while. Maine legislators okay assisted suicide. The bill goes to the governor. Yeah, we talked about this before, folks, that this was coming around again. Between the assisted suicide and the, what do you call that, euthanasia of terminally ill patients. And of course, after that, it'll be, anybody who wants to commit suicide, which is here. I mean, they're going in at the spectrum now. From, euthanasia to assisted suicide. And so what's going to happen? I mean, I know they're going to start off with, limitations and all kinds of parameters to make it, look like it's a safe procedure, and it's a moral one, and all those other things that they'll add to it. Until next thing you know, all these rising teenage and rising military personnel suicides just spits in their face of the suffering that they go through. Anyway, I've not begun to think about this, and I'll let the Lord, Holy Spirit, speak His words, because mine are just anger and how it should be handled. So anyway, this Maine legislation voted Tuesday to legalize assisted suicide. So they're going to let that doctor out of jail? The one that help people commit suicide or euthanasia, whichever one he was performing at that time. Anyways, I'm wanting to tell you my opinion on it because I've been there before. Okay, I've been so broken to the point where I wanted to do some of these things, maybe even attempted it. But now that I've, I don't know, been spiritually enlightened, I guess, I think it's the wrong way to go, only because of the way the mental, the feelings that are involved in this state where people want to commit suicide. And that's basically what it is. It's a influence by emotions, and the heart is very deceitful. We must know, that anyway. Yeah. In any case, You need to put, I hope, with this assisted suicide thing, that they would, think about all these things. That if somebody wants to commit suicide and there's you find that there should be parameters in there. You should give this person, at least quarantine for 24, 48 hours, something like that. I mean, they normally do. They normally send these people to mental institutions under, what is it, 48 to 72 hour stay, 2 to 3 days, see whether they'll change their mind or they'll get worse or something like that. Um, people in that state need time. You ask them, if they, all right, that's it. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. All right, let's just finish the article. So, passing this bill that would allow doctors to prescribe terminally ill people a fatal dose of medication. The bill now goes to the Democratic Governor Janet Mills, who has not indicated whether she will let it become law. Just to say that it's been here in Connecticut probably 5 years ago, and it was rejected. But there are states out there that, and they call it euthanasia. Sometimes it's not assisted suicide. So I don't know why they're putting the name on this in this terms right now. So yeah, fatal dose of medication, and let people acting under it to defend themselves from being prosecuted for aggravating attempted murder, or aiding or soliciting suicide. Yeah, so there's a lot of talk that should have been sure that they've been through. It's crazy. Going back to, and I know, okay, brother in North California that I talked to, World Watchman, he's always bringing up this zombie apocalypse and these people that are, eating other people, really grotesque stuff. And I really don't like listening to it from him, but sometimes he may have a point, They're attacking our food right now. They're already talking about raising prices, even though the planting season technically hasn't started yet. I don't think. Maybe at the end of the month, or I don't know. But raising between that and other things that are going on. I mean, you ever seen the movie Soylent Green? Charlton Heston. Well, turns out that he has a terminally ill or older or old period father, and towards the end of the movie, his father elects to go in and get assisted suicide, I guess. He's reached a certain age, he feels like he can't contribute anymore, and he just wants to go and die. Son tries to talk him out of it, but he goes, and you see the scene where the man gets in a bed that's in a room filled with TVs, and then it comes on and it projects that you're, laying or watching a huge open field with, breezy hay blowing back and forth in the wind, and you see, trees every now and then, and maybe some flowers. I mean, I guess it sets up the calm before the storm. And then they kill him. He's gone. So his father looks into all this stuff, about this assisted suicide, assisted or euthanasia type thing. Comes out that he finds that because of the food shortages all around the world, that this is the one way that they can actually feed the populace. And the product is called Soylent Green, name in the movie. And he finds out that these people who go at an early age don't need to go right away, but they do leave early. And they In the end, as he's being carted away, he turns around and says that Soylent Green is people. Don't you dare put that past this government, who is run by the spiritual principalities of the dark side. Dark side. Satan himself is the ruler here, and his demonic minion run it. They are the principalities and powers and puppeteering that we're fighting against, the spiritual battle. Don't worry about the physical battle because we're going to die anyway. We got to worry about the spiritual battle. Jesus told us not to be afraid of who can kill the body. Worry about who can kill your soul. Spirit. We need to be strong. This is just stuff put out there to try to make you weak and worry. Jesus told you that you're not to fear and don't worry. And you can get in that. You can get there. Believe me, you can get to that point where you do not worry. That you have a relationship, even in the beginning, that the Lord makes promises. He can't lie, and he never changes. So you can count on him. You can trust him. I didn't trust him in the beginning. I learned to over time. Just like everything else we do in life, it gets better as it goes on. As it, the communion, the relationship grows, it ripens. Yeah, there's no moving me now when it comes to, I have peace of mind in just about everything. Yes, these news things can irritate me and weigh me down, but by the end of the day, within the next hour, 5 minutes after, I can maybe go to fellowship, have my brothers and sisters and talk with them and be lifted up immediately. And even if that doesn't happen, if I couldn't get on there, have that peace that he is in me. He is the peace. Just have it. It's not going to go away. I'm at that point where I know it's not going to go away. There's no way that it'll go away. I'm stuck in Psalms 91. Yeah, I do believe that things are, as bad as they are now, are going to get worse. Things are going to be happening all around us. And we're not to fear those things because they're foretold. We're not worried about them. And even if we do die, we win. Even if we live to old age and die in our beds, we win. We die, being struck by lightning, we win. If we're out of here, we win because we're immediately with God. Immediately. In the blink of an eye, right? Absent from the body is present with the Lord. Some things I remember from the Bible that I remember is true. Don't worry, folks. I asked the question about death, where we go from here at a time when I was very, very broken. And he answered me. And that's when I was called. That's when I accepted. I haven't looked back since. Everyone can have that. Every one of us can have it. And of course, with that, there's all the other benefits. There's blessings. There's, the provisions that he promised. In any case, he promised. We can have those things abundantly. Joy, Who would have thought that I could have joy with all these things going on around us and the things that were happening in my life? There was no joy. You can have it now. Once you have that peace, joy is right there. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. This, suicide, assisted suicide, all this other stuff about people dying. I spent the whole weekend again watching war movies. And, Saving Private Ryan, D-Day, 360, and National Geographic, and watching countless Americans and people in general. But I was focused, obviously, on, because that's where the movie takes you, focused on the D-Day invasion, the invasion of, well, when we went to the beaches of Omaha and Sword Beach, and we tried to, actually, it was the invasion of Germany. I'm trying to think if France was there. Yeah. Anyway. But yeah, it's, they have sacrifices all the time. That's what I was getting to. The men that were in there in the first couple of minutes, the first 10 minutes, there were thousands of soldiers that were just mowed down. As soon as they get off the boat, as soon as they opened the door to the boats, were just mowed down with machine gun fire. And you watch things like that, and you just say to yourself, how awful and just grotesque that is, to have people just snuffed out in a second, all for ritual. Those were ritual sacrifices. That's whoever started the war, and I could tell you who started the war. I could give you a 2-hour video, and this is a longer one, that would tell you exactly who were the people involved in instituting that war machine, World War II. It was the same people who were involved in World War I. No, they're out there. They're out there to use you as sacrifices to the devil. The devil wants every one of us dead. He's not going to have it, though. The Lord is going to cut it short. And here, again, here's another article. Dutch doctors, okay, the Dutch, allowing a 17-year-old rape victim to take her own life due to the unbearable emotional anguish. I know I could never understand, the emotional anguish that any woman could feel from the brutal attack, rape. But to allow her to take her own life because of it, no, I do believe that there is still much living to do, even though she suffered. We've all suffered. I've suffered, and it wasn't rape. I can tell you some stories, and there's a lot of people out there that can tell you stories. We've all suffered. The Lord said that we would, and probably more than Him, if you could ever imagine that. Well, maybe that's not true. I've heard about, anyways, to be beaten until your flesh just rips apart and you see the inside of you, pulling your hair out of your face and your head, and yeah, that was brutal. Yeah. So, what a crazy world we're living in, right? Everyone is just tired. It's this it's this principality of suicide in whatever form, whether it be assisted or whether it be euthanasia, or this, now doctors in other countries, because we're so moral here in the United States that we're going to have at least an assisted suicide with drugs, okay? But in other countries, they're just going to. So what's going to happen? Who determines, just crazy. It's hard to it's hard to talk about. It's hard to describe how vile this is, how precious life is. I hope, if you only knew. That's the problem these days. It's so dark now that people, they have. I mean, where is that? Is that in Romans where it says that people will have unnatural affection? And we know about, what do you call them, sociopaths. They don't have emotion. I don't believe that, but that's what they say. It's just, yeah. Well, the Bible says it, so it must be true. People without natural affection, haters, warmongers. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, and we have them. We have it. We're in those times. And now it's, with these, it's coming all up again. It was here, 5 years ago, like I said, and it's coming back. Oh, and a 17-year-old rape victim to take her own life. Yeah. Assisted suicide. Next thing you know, they're, for financial reasons. I mean, I work in an elderly home, and the thought of those people suffering the way they suffer, with this dementia and Alzheimer's and stuff like that, half the time they don't even know where they are. But at least they are. They know. I can't explain it because obviously I don't, I've never been through it. So it was explained to me that they can just blink out in a second and be somewhere else, mostly in their younger years. Then, how would you like to have your father, or your mother, be in a place like this, or even at home? I mean, that's why a lot of people put their mothers and fathers into places, right? Because they just don't have the expertise, the patience, or anything, or even the financial things to get the care, the 24-hour care that these people need. I mean, these people, I've heard a lot of news reports, elderly folks, being found down the street or in another neighborhood because they took off one night. They thought they were somewhere else and just went about it on an adventure. So those things we have to be concerned about. And just seeing the stuff that goes on. I mean, I pray for the elderly constantly. Lord, I just ask him why. I know, we have to grow old because of the system of things that we're in. We used to live 900 plus years. And I'm sure by then, we're pretty darn tired of living. I don't know that for sure, but yeah, well, 70, 80 years is not 900 years. But there's a reason that God has told us in the Bible, or if you look at Jasher, Enoch, that he tells us why. If we had more time, we would just be more corrupt and even more vile, if you can imagine that. But in any case, what's next? Taking these elderly people and then just euthanizing them like Soylent Green. I mean, I can see it coming, unfortunately. People are just going to be too tired to deal with things like that, not have enough energy. I mean, we're all being poisoned, literally. We've talked about that before, about what they're using to do that. So our resilience, our endurance, all those things are not what they used to be anymore because we're being poisoned. And we are. Wish people would realize that so that we could probably do something about that. If anything, we need to pray that these things, especially over our meals, that these things not harm us. The Lord loves taking things that are meant for bad and turning it into good. People are so mixed up, upside down today. That's all they think about. It's all, everything bad is good, and it's the opposite way. Maine legislators. Okay, assisted suicide. Dutch doctors allow 17-year-old rape victim to take her own life. In any case, go over to this one. Catholic schoolgirls in Australia taught God is gender neutral, banned from using father and son in prayer. Still people distorting. What's the word that I'm using? You know, one thing the devil tries to do, Satan, is copy everything that the Lord is doing and just turning it on end. Anyways, Catholic schoolgirls in Australia can't pray and use father and son in prayers. In Australia, I have to talk to my sister Janine about that. She's from Australia. We don't hear about those things from her, but she is a God-fearing sister who is in Australia, truly in love with Jesus. So they're banned from using the words Lord, Father, and Son in prayers in efforts to be gender exclusive. Lord help us. Alabama passes a bill requiring chemical castration for certain child molesters. Okay, well, most people would agree with that one. What if they're not guilty? What if somebody's just getting back at them? You know? What if you're out in the middle of nowhere, okay? You thought you were anyway, and there was no bathrooms in sight, and there was another 20 miles before the exit, okay? And there was this one little patch of woods off to the side. Don't tell me you haven't thought about doing it. I've done it. Stopped on the highway, run into the woods. You know, if you get caught doing that, you're labeled a sex offender. Not a child sex offender, but a sex offender. You are labeled a sex offender and you go on the list. True. Heard it. So will they be castrated? Trying to make a point. I believe that it's more, what's in their head than what's in their pants, even though they've used the thing in the pants. All I can say, man, it's still a vile, very vile thing to even think about. Yeah. Let's see, what else can we talk to you about here? Let's see. Yeah, we already talked about the poisons. Well, this from the big wall, the radiation levels up 6,000 times higher. Excuse me. Higher than those found in the open ocean, found in seafood near cracked Marshall Islands nuclear Renewt dome. Remember we talked about that probably 2 weeks ago? We're talking about radiation, the leftover from all the testing and so on and so forth. Where did all the radiation go? Some think that it went up into the different heavens, the different atmospheres, and kind of got filtered out like this, globe, this live planet does. It heals itself. But if you're going to put it in the ground, well, then it's in the ground. I mean, there is some type of healing, but you need a long time for that. You do need a long time. So, people are eating the seafood and thinking it's okay. I don't buy anything over there from the Pacific anymore. I check my labels. If anything comes from China or anywhere around there, I don't buy it. Probably shouldn't even be buying it from Florida fisheries or whatever either, because I've heard about, Florida and South Carolina or having nuclear issues over there. Excuse me. Yeah, we've done stories about that. Florida's nuclear plant, South Carolina's nuclear plant leaking, like a lot of them are in this country. And they're not fixing them. They're not shutting them down. I hope they are. That's what we got to pray on. Fukushima may still be a ELF, right? Or ELV. No, ELE, I'm sorry. Extinction level event. Still going on. And this one from shiftplan.com. We are being poisoned. Leaked FDA report finds forever chemicals in U.S. food supply. Okay, you'll find that there's always leaked FDA reports, either here at Shift Plan or over at what is that? Natural News. That's right. Always hear about that, or people who I'm not going to go in that direction, but there are people who claim they have all kinds of experts and inside information. People, generals this and generals that who just retired and come out with secret information that they're not supposed to tell. Signed this non-disclosure act, and like Trump has made all his employees sign. Yeah, you can't talk about it, but yeah, well, this guy's going to. I've known him for 25 years, and he's going to come out and say something. Search for yourself, find out what's true. It's discernment that the Holy Spirit gives you, plain and simple. So, we'll briefly touch on this. In this leaked report, that we are guessing the FDA didn't want to get out, is data showing that there are forever chemicals in meat, poultry, milk, and chocolate cake. I wonder why my father-in-law told me he's never going to eat chocolate cake again. So the toxic carcinogenic chemicals are called forever chemicals because of the time they take to break down. PFAS, that's, I think I tried to say this before. Perfluoroalky and polyfluoroalkyl. Polyfluoroalkyl. Polyo, that's POLO, fluoro, FLUR, ALKYL, alkyl, like alchemy or something like that. Polyfluoroalchemy or alkyl. Somebody call me up and tell me how to pronounce that. I'm not a chemist, and so I don't usually see those long words with vowels in the wrong places. So it includes chemicals known as PFOS, PFOA, and Gen X. They are all synthetic, and that's the point. Synthetic and all man-made, and all contain fluorine and carbon bonds that are extremely difficult, if not impossible, for the human body to break down. Yeah, so because it takes them forever to finally break down, it would take approximately 1.5 years to eliminate PFOS from the cow after a 30-day exposure period, using an abbreviation for another form of it. Well, anyways, that's all we're going to talk about. We already know that they put a lot of chemicals in our food, period. No reason for it. To preserve them longer? Well, that's why we have Ziploc bags, oxygen absorbers. You don't have to put it in the food. You can put it outside the food. I've done the oxygen absorbers. I put away some food in Mylar bags and use the oxygen absorbers. It works. It takes the oxygen right out of wherever it is inside that bag and in between the food. It doesn't affect the food. Want to preserve stuff? Preserve it that way. We don't have to have fancy labels and designs on the boxes. We don't. I think a lot of us are going to start eating out of those Mylar bags if things keep going the way they're going. Who's going to be able to afford the food anyway? And so I got an article here talking about corn and so on and so forth. This stuff that, with all this rain and the flooding. So this is the title: After a biblical spring, this is the worst week that could break the Corn Belt. I did mention earlier that we're probably within the last couple weeks of planting. I don't know. I don't know when the planting is. I'm not a farmer, but they were talking about it, and I paid a little attention. They said even if the water did, reside, they wouldn't know whether the soil was capable of growing anything. But I've seen other videos and articles out there, and they're talking, what, 30%, 40% drop. They're not talking altogether that they're not. There's people out there. Because my brother's a trucker, and I mentioned it before, he goes cross-country, him and his wife, in a truck, pulling produce and other stuff back and forth to the east to the west coast, okay? And he keeps me apprised of the road conditions, especially, with the flood situation going on in the middle of the country. He has to drive through it twice. He has mentioned to me, yes, there is a little flooding, but the places that he's been to are mostly not flooded. Of course, because he's driving the roads. And so there's still fields, there's still, plantable fields out there. And if they're saying otherwise, then there's a reason behind it. Raise the cost of foods, period. That's one thing, right? Yes, they may not be able to grow as much. Yes, they may be able to lose money, so they will have to increase the price a little bit. And they're talking it's going to be increased a lot. We will see. So it's just a map. This link here I left for you. It's areas with more precipitation than normal in the last 60 days. The Corn Belt farmers are they're used to being at the mercy of the weather. You hear about this every year? Of course, we don't normally have the floods like we had this year, but they are not used to the weather being quite this merciless, like I said. Through all of April and all of May, wave after wave of rain hit the nation right in the breadbasket, with April capping the wettest 12 months on the record for the continental United States. Past 60 days in particular have coincided with planting season in much of the country. Okay, so they have been planting. This is the planting season now. States across the Corn Belt led the way, nearing or breaking previous precipitation records. Midwest cities from St. Louis to STE, Murray, Michigan. That's Salt Sweet, usually the abbreviation for sweet. So they've reported an unprecedented rainfall. Yes. Well, let's report any good news, please. Past 60 days in particular have planting season in much of the country, yeah. Okay, well, we'll keep an eye on that, but people have already said, at least mainstream media has, and they'd like to scare you anyway. But yeah, we understand that prices will go up, and we will survive it. It's an increase. It's just another way to get every last dime, penny, whatever you have, and to pay for your food, pay for your own survival. So eventually you'll get tired of it and say, "Well, I'm tired of paying. Let the government handle it, and maybe I'll get more food for less money." No, that's not what they want. Now they want control over everything in your life. They want. Look at all the things. I'm going to come out with that list. I know I keep saying a lot of things. But my daughter has a list of the things that are being taxed in the state of Connecticut. And I never knew that. I don't know where she's getting it from, but I'm going to go ask her about it. Better write a note down or else I forget that as well. And she's the one that gave me that list of all the laws that they were going to change this year in Connecticut. And they've done, probably half of them already. I don't know why they're banning plastic bags. I mean, the plastic bags are recycled anyway. I mean, my plastic bags aren't ending up in the ocean, and they should be still recyclable, or mix them up with other stuff as fill and fill something. I don't know. All right, ask daughter. And about tax. Anyway, that's about it. That's about all we're going to talk about right now. It's supposed to be a lot shorter, but every time it's supposed to be shorter, I go off on a tangent. I have to learn to stop that. Probably why my channel isn't growing. Well, I leave that up to the Lord anyway. It doesn't matter to me how many people are coming. It doesn't matter how many people are watching. Only need the one. And that's the one I prayed for. That one person that the Lord will put in front. I don't know. It does sound kind of selfish, and I'm not that selfish. I mean, I would like to make a difference in one person's life. That's all that matters to me. One person. The one person, just heard anything that was from the Holy Spirit that came through me, because nothing I say is going to make a difference, that's for sure. It would be the Holy Spirit speaking through me. That's the only way. And this person heard it because he uses many people, many platforms. And that would make all the difference in the world for me. And I know it's already happened once. So I'm good. I'm good. It just takes a lot of time, a lot of patience and editing and, stuff like that, that sometimes I wonder if it's worth it. But when I when I remind you like now about that one person, then it makes it worth it. For all, I'm not doing anything for me. I'm doing it for anybody who wants to listen. Anybody the Lord puts in front of me. Big, huge plus. Find somebody who's lost and turn around. Isn't that all that we all want to do? Find somebody who's lost and just speak of the Lord to them and have them be awake. It's like you're awake again yourself. Anyway, all right. Yeah, it's Wednesday already, and I will see you all Friday unless something comes up. So with that, keep the family close, man. Keep the numbers. Keep forgiving them. Forgive. Big word, forgive. Keep forgiving not only them, forgive everybody. It just takes a lot of weight off your shoulders, believe me. The Lord told us that we need to forgive, and it's possible. I thought it wasn't going to be, but it's possible. So with that, everyone, God bless you, and peace out.